the beginning of June, and I usually have frost in the first half of October. So
Oh.
if I can, yeah, it's pretty short.
Bagsy Chronicles.
I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm about to go up in a blaze. I don't give a fuck unless I'm getting paid. When life gives you lemons, better make lemonade.
Oh, geez. Hello. Welcome to the Bagseed Chronicles. I am your host, Uncle Dig, and I'm happy today to present an interview to you that I had with MaineGirlGrows, who is the sole proprietor of Howling Farms out in Maine. She also keeps wolves, and we talk a little bit about that. But we mostly talk about cannabis growing and how she does it and a little bit about how I do it. And we just talk generally about all things cannabis. She's a big believer in CBD, just like I am. So stay tuned for that. Before that, we've got a garden update for you. And that's pretty much it. Remember, send me emails if you want stickers. UncleDig4@gmail.com. Also, of course, you can reach me on Instagram at Uncle Dig. But before you do that, come along with me and let's see what I've got going on in my garden. Real quick, but before we get to the garden, I want to say one thing, guys. It's Memorial Day, right? I came very close to reading very sad war memorial poetry on here, but I'm not going to do it. What I am going to say is, don't be a fucking idiot and give more people more reason to be sad today. Be safe out here this weekend. The cops are out in droves, and so are all the drunks and the crazies. So please be careful. It's getting warmer out there, so there's a lot of hot-headed drunks. Stay safe out there, guys. Uncle Dig's garden update. Hello. It is the 27th of May, 2023. I am in Gardening Zone 8B, and this is Uncle Dig with your garden update. I only have 2 tents running right now. My little blurple cloning station is busy confirming sex. I will either kill those or move those clones into a different tent in here in a couple more days. They're pretty much done. All 4 of those plants, I'm pretty confident, are female that are out there outside, and I'm pretty sure that all their clones are as well. So that's good. So in the 2x2 tent here in the studio, I have 3 clones that I horribly overwatered, and it was pretty bad. They were discolored, they were droopy, so we got them out of that. And what I did to get them out of that is I put some dry amendments in there and some worm castings to help dry out the soil, to add mass and kind of leach some of the water out there. They did do that. They dried out. And then what I did was Higher Peaks over at Oregon Rooted actually gave me some SLF 100, which is an enzyme that helps break down nutrients in the soil. I treated them with that when I water them the next time. So I'm hoping that they'll start to uptake nutrients again. They'll get a little greener, and then I'll be able to flip them into flower here shortly. So I'll let y'all know how that goes. Now, outside, I have 9 photoperiod plants here right now. I got 4 big ones that are pretty tall. They're about, 2 feet tall. I've got the 2 fire maroof that are both in the ground. I just put the second one in the ground the other day. And I've got 2 more large plants that I've got to put in the ground, hopefully before June 1st. We'll see how it goes. I've got the forbidden fruit bag seed, and I've also got the Jaeger bag seed, which I'm really excited about. And once those get in, I'll be able to slow down a bit in the garden because the other seedlings I have out there are very small. They're still in like little 4-inch planters. So the Super Skunk, OG Kush, the 2 CBD Dutch Treat seedlings, and the Amnesia Haze are all still very small. So they'll probably get up potted into 1 gallons. before they go into their 20-gallon home. Probably somewhere around June 15th, I'm guessing. So it's going to be a while for them. So we're not going to be fully into our final footprint until the end of June. And I'm also trying to start autoflowers here pretty soon as well. So I'm going to have a lot more going on in the garden, and I'll keep you all posted. Also, those two fire of maroofs, the one that went in the ground, I did overwater it when I planted it. So it's been droopy for the past like 4 days. It's slowly coming out of it. I think it started growing again, but it still looks kind of sad. It's not discolored. It's just very droopy. The other one I uppotted looks fine. Maybe a mild shock, maybe, but nothing major, going along just fine. So I'm hoping that I'll be in the ground just watering things and amending as needed and not so like frantically all over the place in like 3 different tents and outdoors. So that's it for my garden update. Let's overgrow the world. All right. Maine Girl Grows is a cannabis grower, a large canid enthusiast, and as you guessed it, a resident of Maine. She runs the cannabis farm Howling Farms. Welcome to the Bag Seed Chronicles, Maine Girl.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you. What have you been consuming today?
I haven't consumed anything yet today. I've been watering plants, feeding animals. I tend to do my consuming at night.
Oh, that makes sense. A lot of people only consume at night. They don't like to consume during the day. It can kind of get in the way of what they're doing sometimes.
Yeah, and I usually only consume CBD.
Okay. That's generally what I consume in the morning is CBD.
Yeah, I like the CBD for at night. It helps me relax my muscles and helps me sleep better. So,
Okay. So do you not smoke traditional cannabis very often?
not that often. I do try my strains when I grow them, just so that I can give feedback to my clients since I'm a caregiver on effects. But it's very minimal.
That makes sense. Well, I almost feel like any plant I grow, I have to consume a little bit of it, even if it's not something I would traditionally gravitate towards.
Yeah, got to be able to talk about what I'm giving to my clients. So I try to at least try them once. I'm not. Sometimes it gives me a little bit of anxiety, so it depends on the strain. But
Oh yeah. There's definitely some of the recent hype strains out there have been giving me a little bit anxiety. So a lot of times I stick to more traditional stuff. I feel like I find my home with Afghanis.
yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't found anything like perfect for me yet, and that's kind of why I also try them so that I can maybe find something that works best for me and how I feel. But I also have to be able to function during the day, so it can't be anything really heavy. And unfortunately, like people usually suggest indica strains for not having that anxiety feeling. So
Well, right. And I traditionally don't get anxiety with indicas. I have a traditional head, as they say. I get anxiety with sativas. But my partner, my wife, well, especially early on when we would consume, we're a little more seasoned consumers now, and her pain needs have changed, so she gravitates more to indica now. But when we were younger, if she had an indica, it would almost give her more anxiety than a sativa would.
yeah, I think everybody's different and everybody's cannabinoid system works different. And I think you just have to try and find what works best for you and any of your medical conditions that you get. It's different for
Okay.
everybody.
Do you have a favorite consumption method? Are you an edibles gal or a flower person or?
I prefer flower. I've never done any concentrates ever in my life, actually.
Okay.
I'm 46, so I'm kind of old school. If I smoke, I roll a joint. I'm pretty basic.
Yeah, I like joints as well. I vacillate between joints and bongs, depending on my mood. And also, I think each one has its own benefits and drawbacks. Especially the way I like to hit bongs, it can be a little physically demanding. So I try not to do it when I'm trying to have a relaxing time.
Right? Yeah, I think I would talk for half an hour if I smoked out of a bong. When I was young, I used to smoke out of a bong. I also do have some pipes, but they're really pretty, and I hate to make them black, so I look at them mostly.
That's why I kind of enjoy the little color change ones that'll turn purple or blue as they get dirty and makes you feel like you're working on a project, not like you're making it dirty almost.
Right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
None of mine are like that. They're mostly solid colors, so they're
Right,
gonna be
right.
whatever it be.
Well, there for a while, I feel like color change glass was really popular out here, out west. Um, and I don't know if it is anymore because I haven't been in a position to go around buying a bunch of glass recently. But when I first got into buying pipes and bongs and stuff, it was really popular, and fumed glass as well.
Oh, I don't even know what fumed glass is. What is fumed glass?
It's like it's like a gradient from clear to like a color. It almost looks yellow. It's
Oh,
uh
okay.
It's very pretty. I'm kind of colorblind, so I have a hard time describing like color gradients and stuff. And I often talk about it in the garden updates. I have to have my wife come and look at my plants because I can see when the trichomes turn amber a little bit, but she can often tell me like she's like, okay, these are done. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like
That's nice that you have a sidekick then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to have a second opinion if you can get one that you trust.
For sure. Yeah. I don't have that ability. So I'm a
um,
one woman show.
yeah. So, what kind of CBD are you gravitating towards? Obviously, you're gravitating towards whole flower. Are there sort of specific can cultivars that you gravitate towards?
Right now, I've been smoking one called Pink Panther,
Okay.
and that's pretty much what I've stuck with because it just works, and I
Okay.
do it frequent enough, so I'm not really building a tolerance to it. So,
Okay.
I'm really, like I said, I'm pretty basic. Like if it works, I just stick with it. So, I am gonna grow some other stuff this summer though in the outdoor.
Oh yeah, I've seen your garden. Your garden outdoor garden gets big. Um, I've actually it's I've got a CBD strain that I've been growing now, or cultivar. I've been growing it now for like 3 years, called CB Dutch Treat, and I order it from the same seed company whenever I run out, and it's been really good for me, and I've been doing it for the past 3 years, and
Oh, nice. I haven't
it's
heard of that one.
yeah, it's from Crop King Seeds. They're a Canadian seed company. They have mixed reviews, so I kind of always feel weird like recommending them. I've had other stuff from their seed catalog I frankly wasn't impressed with, but this one always hits. Like every time I grow it, it's resilient to bugs. Like if I have mites, it has them the least. If I have aphids, it has them the least. It's sweet tasting. It doesn't have that like almost hempy taste that a lot of CBD does. It's a little higher in THC. It's a 4% THC and like 8% CBD. So it's like a 2-to-1, which is what I like. But it's been real reliable for me. So I hope they never go out of business, and I hope they never stop carrying it.
Oh, nice. This summer, I'm gonna grow some seeds from Flower Bounty Farms,
Okay.
and there's some one-to-ones in there. I'm gonna do CBD as well as CBG, but then I'm also gonna do one-to-ones of both of them. So I'll have a lot more variety to try this fall.
Yeah, yeah. I've had mixed luck with 1-to-ones. I can't seem to grow a 1-to-one that tastes good.
We'll see how it goes, I guess. I have one that's a one of the parents is the THC parent is a blueberry strain from
Oh, okay.
Lemon Hoko. So hopefully it'll taste pretty good. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. How long have you been growing cannabis up there in Maine or wherever?
I think this summer will be, when I first started, I just did it in the summer and I did it outdoors. I think this is going to be my fifth outdoor grow.
Okay.
And then, I started that next fall after I had finished my harvest of my outdoor. I got a tent and started growing inside.
Okay, your journey is kind of similar to mine. The first 2 or 3 years, I'm having trouble remembering now. I grew only outside. I would start my seeds in a greenhouse. And then, I bought a light and then I bought a tent. And then over the years, I've moved indoors over the winter. But it sounds like you've got more experience indoors than I have.
Yeah, I would say just about 4 years, probably on the indoor, and four and a half or five. It's somewhere right in there. I haven't kept great track, but
Do
yeah,
you do it in the summer as well, or do you go completely outside?
I keep going indoor in the summer. I may this year not do as many tents inside, just because it will be hotter, and I'm using tents in my little cabin. It can get pretty warm in there pretty fast since it's a small cabin. But
Right. Well, and
this
that's what I
so
worry about is the power bill from the running the AC, and I don't have a good space to grow indoors during the summer.
yeah, so I'm gonna see how it goes. I've already had to start using AC, but I have four tents going, so it's a lot in a small space. So we'll
Are they
see.
all 4x4s?
No, I have two 4x4s, a 4x8, and then I use a 2x2 for starting seeds and clones.
Oh, that is a lot of heat. Are you running LEDs?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
at least there's that.
yeah. I know. I've actually never grown with anything but LEDs, so I don't even have any experience on the other types of lights. But yeah, it would get real hot if I wasn't using LEDs, and it's still already getting pretty hot. Like my 4x8, I've noticed it's climbing to almost 90 degrees during the day. So I'll probably switch my light cycle too. Once this run is done, I'll have my lights on during the overnight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm when I flip I've got a photo period run that I'm trying in my little in here actually in the same room I'm recording this, and I'm going to put an exhaust fan in the window to try to keep it cool in here during the day. And I'm going to have to when I flip the 12-12, I'm going to have to do it at night. They're going to have to run at night because it's going to be like in the hundreds next month.
Oh wow. Wow, that's no, we won't ever get that hot. Usually, I mean, if it hits 100 degrees, it'll be like 1 or 2 days, and that's not really a normal thing for me. So,
Yeah, we're blessed with a true Mediterranean climate down here in Southern Oregon where I live, and pot grows really well here. I wanted to ask you though, do you have to only grow certain strains? Is your growing season pretty short?
yeah, outdoor for sure. I try to pick stuff that finishes pretty fast because of that. I can go. Let's see, the beginning of June, and I usually have frost in the first half of October. So
Oh,
if I can, yeah, it's pretty short. So I have to pick shorter strains. I can usually, if something's resistant to mold and mildew and is a pretty hardy plant, then I can usually do stuff that will go into October. And
right.
sometimes we don't get any frost in the first half. I mean, not last summer, but the summer before, I pulled my last plant at like October 21st. It just
Okay.
depends.
Right.
I never know.
That makes sense. That's actually a little longer than I imagined. If you're going all the way to the end of October sometimes, that's pretty good here. Um,
Yeah, it's rare though. Like last summer, there were three frosts in the first half of October. So,
oh,
and
so
I
you do need to pull early.
yeah, it's rare that I can go past mid October. Like, I definitely won't grow anything that goes past mid October. And if I grow something that goes into October, it's got to be hardy. So,
Right.
I can't, it really does matter what I'm using, what I'm growing. So,
So are you already outdoors out there in Maine right now?
I have stuff in a greenhouse. We just got our last frost probably for this year. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So June is
it's,
kind of when it becomes safe.
yeah. I mean, I usually have stuff going in May, like seedlings. Since I have a little greenhouse, I'll start seedlings. I don't put clones outside just because they'll start to go into flower because the light cycle isn't long enough.
Right.
Um, but usually anything I'm starting from seed. I'll put out in May sometime, usually mid-May, usually.
See, I never even thought about the light difference because I'm further south than you are. So I can go out around Mother's Day or even as early as May 9th, and most stuff I put out won't flower. But you're a little further north, so I guess your days are shorter than ours right now here in May.
Yeah, I found that it really depends too, like on the strains. Some of them seem to go into flower a little easier than others. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't really have enough experience, but that's what it seems like to me. Most of the time, if I have mature plants and I put them outside mid-May, they're okay. But at one or two times I've done that and I have had plants start to flower and then go back into veg and look real funky. But that's only
Right.
been one or two strains probably.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
Yeah,
interesting that because you're just kind of sandwiched in this outdoors anyway. You're kind of sandwiched in this narrower grow band than I've ever had to work with. So it just sounds super challenging, but it sounds like the greenhouse helps and really strain selection for hardiness and mold and mildew resistance is kind of critical out there.
yeah, for sure. Because it gets real cool at the end of the season. So the beginning of September is usually okay, but once you get through half of September, the nights especially start getting real cool. The grow will start to slow right down. Um, so I really try to find strains that finish in September.
Okay.
It's not always easy to do, but
Right, I
Humboldt
know, yeah.
Humboldt Seed Company has quite a few that will finish here well, like their blueberry muffin will finish here
Okay.
in September. Their Hella Jelly will finish here in September. Um, I look for, shorter flowering times usually, and I do okay. And then I also look for mold and mildew resistance just because it's going to get cold and wet here at the end of the season. It's almost a guarantee.
Right. So outdoors, it sounds like what I'm getting is outdoors you kind of gravitate towards seedlings,
Yeah, I don't really grow from clone outdoors.
but indoors you'll kind of do whatever's appropriate, like whatever you have that you're going for, right?
Yeah, yep. I can just I've been mostly growing from seed indoors up to this point, but I've been working with Duke Diamond and Dominion Seed Company so that I can choose some moms and grow from clones. So I'm starting to get into doing clones.
Okay, so you've got some mothers going.
Yes, I have one mother right now, but I just harvested my first season of Dominion seeds. So they're not big enough to actually be moms yet, but I have some mom clones that I've whittled it down to three. I can't really
Okay.
decide until I try them, so they're hanging right now. So I have three that to choose from when I
That's
finally pick
awesome.
one of them. It's really hard for me to pick when I don't smoke THC strains that often. So I might ask a friend for some help with that one.
Yeah, yeah. So I was curious about I don't understand how Maine works. I've never been there. I'm on the opposite side of the country. But you're a medical delivery service, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I have my permit license, whatever you want to call it. They let
So
me grow a certain amount of plants, and I
so how
deliver.
would that work? I would like I'm just curious. I'm always curious with these processes, right? So if I was let's say I moved to Maine and I was down the street and I didn't have my grow set up yet. I had my medical card in Maine and I wanted to set up delivery with you. How would that work? Would I contact you and like give you a photocopy of my card and then how would that work?
Yeah, so you would, Maine actually will take other states' medical cards, quite a few other states' medical cards, actually. So you may, if you had a card already from a state, I just have to check the list. And if it's accepted here, I can just accept that medical card. And then you
Oh,
could get a new medical card when it expired. Or usually for about $50, you can get your medical card here. And there are some dispensaries that have somebody that can give medical cards and they kind of do promotions and will give them out free sometimes. So
oh, nice.
yeah, it's pretty easy to get a medical card here.
Oh, that's so cool. It doesn't it sounds like the barrier to entry is way lower than it is here.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. And then as far as licensing goes for caregivers and medical, there's different tiers. There's
Right.
one tier above me. I'm at the second. Let's see. I think there's two tiers below me and one tier above me. So I'm in the middle, and I can do 30 plants in flower and 60 in veg.
Okay.
So the one above me is a 500 square foot canopy in flower, which
Oh, that's so much.
yeah, and unless I'm outdoor, I wouldn't even have to worry about it. And I'm only one person, so I still don't have to worry about it. I can't keep up with that many
Yeah.
plants.
It's a lot. Once I mean, I feel like, like adding plants is weird. Like I have a pretty small garden. I do anywhere from 7 to 5. Like this year I'm shooting for 8 photo periods outdoors. And I grow them pretty big and they take up all my time in the beginning and the end,
It's
especially.
so much work if you're doing it right, especially, outdoor because you really have to stay on top of defoliation so you're not getting powdery mildew and your airflow is good.
Right.
If you're doing it and you're doing it right, and it is a lot of work. And I don't grow huge plants for that reason
Right.
outdoor, like 6 feet tall. I need to be able to reach the top of the plant is my goal basically without a ladder. So I try to not grow like these monsters. I did that like the first year I grew outdoor. I started seeds inside. I got these plants really big. I mean, they were like decent sized bushes when I put them outdoors.
Yep.
And those plants got so big. Like I could not keep up with the plants for defoliation. And B, my pots were not big enough. So I had this monstrous vegging plant up top in a 30-gallon pot, and it just was not enough food and water either, right? So the plants didn't really do good because it needed more base, and more root space.
Yeah, I'm gonna be dealing with that at the end of this season. I grow out non feminized seeds if I want to try some, and then I sex them. So I've sexed these plants, I flipped the clones, but of course now I've got 2 footers outside in May. So they're going in 20-gallon pots, but toward the end, I'm gonna have to feed them like every week, or even organically. I'm gonna have to feed them so much. So
Yeah, I think sometimes like there's pros and cons to going in the ground versus going in a pot. And I would say like food wise and moisture wise in the ground, it's far easier. But
right.
then, in a pot, it's, I don't know, it's more controlled for me, I guess. And I can keep my plants at a size that is not getting out of control for me as
Well, the
well.
the one thing that I like about these fabric pots I'm growing in is if the plant gets desperate, it'll poke feeder roots through the bottom of the plant and just sink them into my lawn. So,
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I have a hard time getting them off the lawn in the fall. When I'm done, I'm like reefing on these pots to try to
oh,
get them
I
off the
have to
ground.
I have to cut the roots that grow from the bottom with a shovel. Like I have to take a shovel and like cut the pot off the ground if I want to get it off and move it. Like I have to like pry it up and there's like because I used to just go out there and lift them and rip them up, but the past couple of years I've done better about developing really healthy root balls. So there's like feeder roots through the bottom of the pot.
It's crazy how strong and hard it is to get those pots off the lawn. I agree. It's
Even
I'm
when
like,
the
wow,
soil's completely dried out and almost weighs nothing, it's almost impossible to rip the pot up.
yeah, it's pretty crazy how strong they are.
I'm thinking about leaving mine out this year and trying to like top dress with some like compost and then like covering that with like some straw or something and then like going out there and like doing like my own like miniature living beds in these 20 gallons. I'm not sure yet.
I think that I might do that as well and reuse my soil because I'm reusing my soil indoor the way
Right.
I'm doing it now. So I don't see why you couldn't do the same thing outdoor. And it'd
Yeah,
probably be easier to get off the lawn and move them around at that point too, right?
I would
Stuff
think
will start.
so. Yeah.
The stuff will start to break down. I would think through the winter.
So you I don't know how old you are, but like when did you start smoking or consuming cannabis? Was it as a younger person or as an older person?
Um, I was probably 15 or so, 16, the
Okay.
first time I smoked. So and when I was young, I didn't have problems with THC. So I smoked quite a bit when I was young.
Okay.
And my dad was regional commander for Maine Drug Enforcement. So that was sketchy.
Oh, that's so wild. So
Yeah.
you were like 15 having your first like cannabis experience and your dad is like the top cop in Maine for like drugs.
Yeah, it was not, it wasn't good there for a little while between me and my dad, but he's good with what I do now. Like it's legal and he's he's fine with it. But
It kind of
yeah, it was
surprised me how many dudes were like, don't do this, don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as it was like arbitrarily made legal, they were all of a sudden just fine with it. That always blew my mind.
it is, yeah, and I think it depends on the police officer too. Like my father's never gonna smoke weed. Like it's just never gonna happen. He's fought against it. He fought against it his entire life. So it's pretty ingrained into his mind. But as far as judging somebody else for what they choose to do, if it's legal, it's legal. I don't think he really cares anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of times parents don't want their kids to get involved in cannabis just because it's kind of an alternative thing. It can be a challenging lifestyle because of, cultural pressure, law enforcement issues depending on your state, stuff like that. But I think as the culture opens up to it more in general, I think it's people are going to have an easier time with their parents accepting this aspect of their life.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the legalization in the grand scheme of things is still pretty new, right? So as generations get older, it will be more accepted as time goes on. And the other thing too, like everything in moderation, right? I feel like you can smoke too much weed. If you're smoking heavy indicas and you have no motivation, that's probably not a wise decision. Like you probably should choose something that helps you motivate or
Right.
just like with alcohol, everything in moderation. There's a balance to things, and
Well, and yeah, and there's a lot of people that'll be using cannabis medicine, and I've been guilty of this, is I'll get really hung up on what I enjoy consuming and instead of really focusing on what I should be consuming. So like I'll get like a hold of a really fruity sativa and I have like an anxiety disorder. Like I have PTSD. So it's not really good for me to be running around like smoking green crack all the time and like it's fine if I need to like vacuum and like clean the whole house in a day. That's fine, but like most of the time that's not appropriate. So if I grow something that tastes really good, but it's not really appropriate for me, I need to learn to give it to my partner or give it away and not keep it and smoke it because it tastes good. Because I'm not doing myself any favors, if that makes sense.
yeah, for sure, I agree. Like use what works best for you and your lifestyle as well as your medical needs. And I think more people need to pay attention to right because if you're smoking something that's not making you feel good, then what is the point? Like, why are you doing that to yourself? you
Well,
know?
and I mean, I've had cultivars that I've grown that I've really not been a fan of the way they like it was fine, but it wasn't like my favorite thing to consume. But when I would consume it for sleep, for example, it just nothing came close.
Yeah, right. I agree. Like, I think there's strains for everything, for motivation, for sleep, for pain, for gut issues, and you just have to find what works for you and your schedule.
Oh yeah. So do you have anything you're so you talked about the stuff from Dominion Seeds. Um are those staying indoors?
Yeah, those are all indoor. I am growing a Dominion cross. It's a skunk fan cross with strawberry diesel. I'm gonna grow that outdoors, but
Oh, I
all the
bet that'll
rest,
smell weird and fun.
yeah, we'll see. I will see. I'm excited. Like, there's no disappointing strains that I've found so far. I'm growing. Let's see. I just chopped down 187, which is the one that I'm searching for moms with,
Okay.
and then I have BKT, Burnout Chem, and Purple Dahlia. So I'll be trying to choose moms from those as well. Those are all in the 4x8 though, so they're in about week 6. They're starting week 6.
Okay. So you're getting close. So here in another month and a half you'll be able to start tasting.
Yeah, it won't be long now. I've got the 187 is hanging right now. I just cut it yesterday.
Oh,
So
nice. So
that
are you gonna take a taste when it's still fresh and dried, or are you gonna cure it for a couple weeks before you try it?
no, I'll cure it before I try it.
Okay,
That's the
so
one
go
good
ahead.
thing about not being like super into the THC strains. I have no problem waiting till the process is complete.
Yeah, yeah. See, and I'm growing for myself here, and I do a lot of experimenting. So a lot of times when it's going into the jar, like I honestly I like to wait about a month. Um, but as little as 2 weeks in, I'll crack the jar if I want some of it, or because a lot of times what I'm feel it constantly filling holes in my stash. So like yeah, I might be growing like I grew a bunch of hybrids over the winter because I had a bunch of indica on hand. And now I'm almost out of indica, so I'm growing a bunch of that. So it's just a constant cycle of me filling my jars up that I empty.
Yeah, that makes sense. I try to do that too for, with my clients. I try to have more stuff that leans indica, stuff that runs middle of the road, and stuff that leans sativa so that I have options for everybody, which is hard when you have a small grow space. But
Yeah, I'm thinking like you kind of told explained your indoor grow space. I mean, you've really got to bang it out to keep up with everybody, I'm sure.
yeah, there was a point where I just had the one 4x4 and I was doing all auto flowers so that I could turn over as much flour as fast as possible. And
Oh
then I got to
yeah.
the point where I was running out. So, and I had to go buy flour for quite a while. And that has been just until recently when I added the second 4x4 and the 4x8. So the 187, that's the first grow in the new 4x4.
Okay.
And the flowering stuff in the 4x8 is the first grow in that tent. And once I get those harvested, hopefully I don't have to buy flour anymore.
That's so wild to me. That so you've expanded. So if you don't
Yeah, just
so you were growing auto flowers for a while, and I've been fascinated with auto flowers since I popped my first one. Um, what kind of yields were you getting off those auto flowers?
well, I'm pretty picky about whose flowers I will grow. So
Right.
most of the ones that I grow, I will get, on the low end would be 5 ounces, I would say
Interesting.
on the low end. And on the high
Okay.
end, it's rare. In fact, I've only done it once. I grew an autoflower that was just over a pound, yielded just over a pound, but that's pretty rare.
Are you doing
I would
that
say
organically, or are you doing that with salts or?
so. Until very recently, I was growing with Floraflex and cocoa,
Okay.
but everything I've grown in the last month or two, I'm doing organically, and I'll probably go be doing only organics going
Okay.
forward. This system that Duke is teaching me is working well, and it was
Yeah.
probably my best growth to date. You know, he's been doing this a long time, so I mean that's not really surprising, I guess. But
Yeah.
I like it. You know, it's once a week I feed with a tea, and the rest of the time it's just water. So it's
Right.
far less maintenance than growing in cocoa and salts, right? Because when I'm in cocoa, I have to mix and feed every single day. But organically, you know, some even though I'm only in 5 gallon pots, sometimes I'm not watering it even every day. So there's less work, I would say, growing organically. There was definitely a little bit of a learning curve there, though, like because I went from cocoa and watering every day. Like, so when I started in soil and organics, I was overwatering for a while. Like it took me a while to get that watering down. You'd think it would be easy,
It's not.
especially for somebody who's been growing a few years already. But there was a big learning curve with the watering for me.
No. I
So
just I just overwatered 3 clones yesterday.
yeah, I know, and it seems like it should be like the easiest thing, but that is got to be like that was the thing that I struggled with was the watering. So I vegged those poor plants forever to get them where I wanted their health before I flipped the tent. I
Yeah.
was like, this is the longest 4x8 grow in history, I swear to God. But I got it, and I flipped it when they were real healthy, and everything's been good. But yeah, it did. There was definitely a learning curve for me.
Yeah, and I'm still learning with the lights depending on your space. Like right now I had the light turned up too high in this tent and I had to raise it and like I'm realizing like depending on the weather, I might not be able to flower with these lights turned on 100%. I might have to flower with them at like 80 or 90%, which is something that I really haven't done.
So I have not had my life at 100% at all in the 4x8. The 4x4,
Okay.
that's a right? It's just one light. And I did have that one at 100% in flower. But in
Yeah.
the 4x8, I've got some big lights. Like I have a Spider Farmer SC7000. And then on the other side of it, I have a uh, Grower's Choice ROI 720. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of power in the tent. And I had it at like 80%, and I started to notice some leaves like trying to turn over.
Right.
Not all the plants though, just a few of them. So I had to dial it back a little bit from where I had it. But, so that is also a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, and that was one thing that kind of kept me away from growing indoors because people complain about bugs and I'm like I any gardening I've ever done I've had to deal with bugs. So that's not and that has been nice indoors. It's just so much easier to do IPM indoors and not deal with bugs. It's been honestly it's been the easiest IPM ever. I spray once in veg and I spray once before they flip into flower and I honestly don't think I need to, but I'm scared not to.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I knock on wood. I probably shouldn't even say it out loud and bring it into the universe.
Oh
I've not
no.
had a bug. I've not had a bug problem indoor other than fungus gnats.
No, the only bug problem I had is I had a friend of mine gave me a dirty cut one time. That was it.
Man. Yeah, I have only taken in a clone one time from somebody, and it was somebody that I trusted, and I did keep it separate for a while before I put it into my grow, and it
Yeah,
was fine.
it took
But
me it took me like 2 months to knock out the mite problem in that tent, but I got it licked, I think. I haven't come back in that grow area in 10 months. So let's hope.
I got it under control then. Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I'm
But
sure that it's going to happen someday, right? Like everybody, especially because I grow outdoor, but I do always make sure I take care of my indoor and then I move to my outdoor, right? Like I'm never going from my outdoor to go in and mess with my indoor. I do
oh,
other.
totally, totally, yeah. First thing, like I know it seems counterintuitive because you want to water your outdoor plants, especially out here because it's really hot. But what you're doing, like she's saying, you're moving your pests in instead of moving your pests out when you're working in that
Yeah,
order.
yeah. So always working on the indoor, making sure I'm in clean clothes, you know, then
And
I go out.
I will say, like you got you bro growers with your adventure companion dogs, like I really hope you're washing your dog before you let it run around in your garden because they carry home all sorts of interesting stuff in their fur. And
They
and
do,
and
and
they'll
I'm
leave it
guilty.
around your plate. Oh, have you done it?
Oh, my dog doesn't get in the tents. So my setup is like it's a zoo at my house. It really is. So I have an indoor dog and two cats. They have a dog door that they use that goes out to a 10 by 30 area outside so they can go outside if they want to when they choose to. They can
Right,
come and go as they please, but it's also covered so birds of prey can't get my cats.
right,
So they're safe, but because my cabin is open concept, right? There's no way to lock animals out of my area where my tents are. There's
right.
just no way. So they are walking by the tents. Um, the dog doesn't bother with the tent. She doesn't. But I have one cat that is the biggest pain in the butt. Like I have to kick her away from the tent every single time I open the tent. Like she
That's my
will.
penny. My penny ate my first clone I ever bought.
Oh, it's funny. Like the other cat doesn't care.
No,
Like
not
it's
at all.
just the one cat. She's like a demon spawn from hell.
Yeah, she I bought I'll never forget what was the plant I bought. It was one of my one-to-ones that was good, but it was a CBD clone I was really excited about.
Of course it
And
was, and of course money for it.
and I bought this cut. I mean, it wasn't crazy. I bought it for $20. It wasn't crazy expensive. But it was sitting on my windowsill, like literally just waiting one like cool day to go outside. And my cat, she got up on my counter and she ate every leaf but one. And I caught her getting ready to eat the last leaf. And I'm like, no, and I like threw her out. And that plant did finish. And
Good.
I got like half a pound off of it, but it was rough.
It's amazing how resilient they are, right? Those plants, like I'm telling you, with the watering thing and the learning curve, those poor plants, like I put them through the ringer. I did, but they were good. Like they made it. So it's a they are really a resilient plant.
Yeah, yeah. That there it's kind of amazing what they'll put up with. The only thing I've ever really seen completely ruin a harvest for me is mites. Everything else they've been able to recover from, or I've been able to get some of it, recovered or whatever. The only thing that ever like completely ruined a whole plant was one year I got mites real bad.
Yeah,
Last year I got mites real bad. This year I'm hoping that, well, because I honestly I think what happened is I dust with diatomaceous earth on the bottom of my pots when the top layer of soil dries out on the hotter days, and I think that was saving me from the mites. And I didn't do
yeah,
that last year because, well, the supply chain issues here hit gardening stores weird. So like there was certain stuff they just ran out of the last couple of years and they just never had it when you needed it. So they would
oh
they
yeah.
like diatomaceous earth. They'd run out of Dr. Zymes. They'd run out of certain organic fertilizers. They run out of 30, 60, and 100-gallon smart pots this time of year.
Yeah, this is a busy time of year. I've noticed that things go in and out of stock pretty quickly. And like
Uh,
build the soil, I buy a lot of stuff from build the soil to make my soil and to make my teas, and they're struggling keeping up too.
oh yeah, yeah. And I'm doing an experiment this year I've been on where I've been growing with dry amendments. just doing dry amendments only um, from the local garden store here. It's kind of just I'm trying to go back to trying to do real low effort stuff to see what I can get. And I'm also interested in like lowering my like drive footprint to like go get stuff and like try not to order stuff online or anything and just kind of keep it as local as possible. And I feel like um through economies of scale that garden store has lowered the fuel cost of getting, whatever to me in theory, right? So
Yeah, that's tough too, especially if you live like, I don't know where you live, but I live like the closest grocery store is an hour away. I have a hardware store that carries some plant stuff, growing, gardening stuff. But if I wanted to go buy dry amendments and do only from my local hardware store, I would have to use Coast of Maine amendments, I believe. I think that's the only one they carry that's considered organic and licensed.
oh
So I would be really limited with what I could and couldn't do if I was to do that. So I would have to drive
right.
an hour to the grocery store. So most of what I order is on build a store.
Okay, well that makes sense. And and I always say on the show your environment dictates your growth style. I can get in my little beater truck and I can be at the garden store here locally in under 10 minutes. So it's a completely
Oh,
different thing.
nice.
And it's and
Yeah.
it's and it's way under 10 minutes. I'm not going to tell you how close cuz it's ridiculous, but
Oh, I wish there was a grocery store that close to me, but no,
oh,
I gotta go.
sometimes I just go there and look at stuff and don't buy anything. I'm like, well, that's neat. Look at how you can hook this up and have your whole irrigation system and then just walk out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably good that my grocery store is an hour away because I would probably spend more money than I need to.
Oh, they've got pepper starts out right now, and I've been so tempted because I'm trying not to grow any vegetables this year and only grow cannabis and my perennials. Basically, keeping up with my roses, keeping up with like my cherry tree and all that, and everything else that I've got going on, and the cannabis, but not growing any annual stuff. I have this theory that the annuals were bringing in pests, so maybe it'll be better if I don't. I don't know. I'm throwing darts at walls here.
Oh, you'll have to let me know how that goes for you. I'm actually going to grow vegetables for the first time this year.
This is the first year I haven't, and it's
Okay.
it's it's odd to me because usually I have like anywhere from like 10 to 20 peppers in containers. I'm a pretty avid pepper grower, and I'm not doing it this year, and I kind of feel like I'm being lazy. But I am doing like a large autoflower run once it gets a little warmer. I'm going to try to do completely sun grown autoflowers outdoors in like 3 gallons. But I don't even have that space set up yet.
Yeah, I'm working on putting in my raised beds to do my vegetables. I've got two of them done. I have two more to do. So it's springtime is so much work. Like I need like three more of me, really. I do. But it's all right. It gets done when it gets done. I can only do
I
one thing
feel
at a
like I feel like you're either stuck between two hells as a gardener, right? You're either not doing enough and you know it, so you feel like you're wasting a season, right?
time.
And you only have so many seasons as a gardener, right? We all wish we had 120 seasons as a gardener, but no one does, right? So you've only
Right?
got your what you've got. And so you do two less and you're in that hell of knowing you could have done more, or you do too much and you're basically your own tenant farmer and you're living in your own self-made hell because you did too much.
That's pretty much me every year. I haven't gotten to the I should have done more. I'm always like, I should have done less every single year. I feel that way.
Well, then that means you're setting yourself challenging but attainable goals, right?
Yeah, so it should be interesting because usually I feel that way anyway, and now I'm adding vegetables, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, the cool thing about vegetables, if we're being honest, other than harvesting and stuff, I think they're easier to grow. Um, They don't require um as much just ppm in general. They don't feed as heavily as a lot of cannabis plants do, right? The only thing that comes close is tomatoes.
Yeah,
And they're not even really that close.
I'm
um
growing tomatoes and I'm growing peppers and I'm going to grow snap peas and I've got some lettuces and
I
I'm going to
love
grow some catnip
I
and
love growing sugar snap peas.
yeah, I'm like, they probably won't even make it to the house. Like, I'll probably just be eating those as I do whatever other work I have to do up there.
So my wife's on this restrictive diet, so she's not supposed to eat like a lot of peas and stuff. It's weird. But I used to grow every spring I would grow like cold snap peas, sugar snaps that grow over my little chicken fence over by my walkway as you'd come into my house. And so they, like you said, they never make it to the kitchen. She would eat them on the way, like walking in from work. She'd like grab them and just start eating them, like as she was bringing her stuff in.
Yeah, I tried to plant, well, they're just in little seed starting pots right now, but I tried to do quite a few of them so that maybe some will make it to the house. They probably still won't. We'll see.
I've planted whole packs of them, and if they make it to the house, they get washed, they get put in a bowl out on the center table, and then they're there for like a day, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's probably what it'll be like at my house too. But it's a
Well, and
healthy snack, right?
exactly. It's
So
so healthy, and if you've got that, I don't honestly. I like growing them, but I don't. I'm the worst. I'll grow a cornucopia of vegetables and then go eat at Pizza Hut. I'm a scumbag. I don't know what's wrong with me. I love growing it. Like I call it a curse of growing up in the South, but for whatever reason, like I love growing vegetables, but I gotta like live on Dr. Pepper and whatever other garbage.
growing a lot of tomatoes, and the goal is going to be to make some salsa because I don't really eat tomatoes on like. I mean, I like spaghetti sauce and I like salsa, but like just raw tomatoes, I don't really eat them. So I'll
I,
probably be giving a lot away.
I love growing tomatoes, and my favorite plant to grow is actually tomatillos. But I had to give it up because it gets a little too cold here at night. So a lot of times the blossoms will drop off at night instead of getting fertilized. So I had to give it up. It grows better in Texas where I'm from than it does out here. So I have to buy my tomatillos at the store.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how I could end up with no vegetables. Like we'll see how it goes. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing cucumbers too. I'm doing some pickling cucumbers and some slicers. So
Do you do a
I'll
little
get
bit of pickling or canning?
I never have, so might be the first year for that too.
Oh, I love making pickled peppers. I'm not, we don't even buy them at the store anymore. I'll buy, the pickled peppers. I'll go buy bulk, like I'll go buy like 2 pounds of jalapenos and like a half pound of serranos and make my own pickled peppers at home.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. I've never done any kind of canning. I really have been craving spicy pickles though, so I'm growing some hot peppers and some pickling cucumbers, so I can maybe try to make some spicy pickles. We'll
Well,
see.
and you don't have to do like a long pickle. You can do like what I do with these jalapenos. It's kind of a quick pickle. It's only curing in the fridge for like a week, and then I cut into it. It's more of a fresh pickle, so it's only good for like 2 or 3 months. That's why I go and buy the peppers and make it. But it's a little easier to do, and the learning curve is a little bit easier. So I totally recommend a quick pickle before you go into like hot water bath canning or pressure canning.
Yeah, I don't even have a pressure cooker, so I would have to be doing this like old school way. And I'm guessing that a lot of that is going to happen at the same time I'm trying to harvest my outdoor.
Yes.
So I don't know how successful I'm going to be with this whole canning thing. I may like give the vegetables to somebody and ask them or pay them to do it for me. We'll see.
Yeah, well, the snap peas will be done by early summer. So those will be done. Those will be done, completely done. Um, you'll be harvesting the peppers probably a little bit before your cannabis, in my experience. Um, but it depends on when you started them. But yeah, they'll start putting off. Like if you started them in like February, they'll start in like late July, early August. They'll start giving you your first peppers, but at first it'll only be one or two.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. I didn't start them that early. I
Oh,
think
okay.
they're just maybe 2 inches above the soil.
Oh, that's
I got a
fine.
late, I got a late start, so
Well, and you have to start later where you're at too. But that's fine. But yeah, you're right. Everything is going to be finishing all at once. With the
mhm.
peppers. Now the tomatoes, those should be. Depending on what kind you grew, right? Did you grow determinate or indeterminate tomatoes?
I have no idea. I got these seeds from a place called Wild Boar Farms.
Okay.
So they're specialty varieties.
Okay.
They're not stuff you could go buy in the grocery store or,
Right.
like some of them are purple, some of them are yellow, some of them are orange, some of them grow on
Totally.
clusters, some of them grow on vines. Like they're all really different. I don't like to grow the same thing everybody else grows. I want some stuff that people are going to look at and be like, oh, whoa, that's cool. Let me
Dude,
try
I
that,
totally get that. That's part of why I grow some of the peppers I grow. I grow a pepper called a Hungarian black pepper. I mean, you can buy it, but you have to go on a seed catalog and buy it. It's a little bit rarer, but it grows out this beautiful purple, almost black, and it has kind of a unique flavor. It's about like a jalapeno as far as heat, but it's got this sweet flavor that I can't quite describe that I really enjoy. And I grow those, and they're very striking peppers.
Oh, they sound good too because I like sweet and spicy together. So,
Oh yeah, they're so good. I'm kind of regretting not popping seeds. But the thing about tomatoes, the main thing about tomatoes, it's kind of like photo period and non-photo period cannabis. You've got determinate and non-determinate tomatoes, right? So a determinate tomato, it's only going to get so big. So it's perfect for pot growing. So if you grow it in a 3-gallon pot on your porch, it's probably a determinate tomato. But the indeterminate tomatoes will grow and flower constantly as long as they have nutrients in the soil and space to grow. Those are your tomatoes that climb up trellises, and you see people with like big tomato monstrosities that are like 6 and 7 feet tall. Those are the indeterminate
oh my
tomatoes. Yeah.
word.
So you want to look on those seed packs, and most seed packs on those tomatoes will tell you, and it'll save you a lot of consternation later.
Yeah, so these seed packs, I think this guy is like a really small farm. I found him because I watched this homesteading thing on YouTube called
Okay.
Roots and Refuge. It's called Roots and Refuge. And she was showing some of the seeds from this Wild Boar Farms, and they were really cool looking. The fruits she was showing the grown up fruits, and then so she did like this special with this farm and basically sold this poor guy out of seeds. Like I don't even think you can buy them because she did that promotion, but I happened to get them, and there
Okay.
was like a 9 pack, and they just come in like these little plastic. It'd be like getting seeds from your friend almost. They're not printed packages. So, but I can probably look on his website because he does have a website and see what it says for information.
Yeah, because if you put those indeterminate ones in a small pot, they'll get root bound eventually, because they'll just keep growing and they'll be like, well, I need more. And you're like, you can't have more. And they'll just go, "Argh."
Oh, I'm making special raised beds that sit on the ground for all my vegetables. So
Oh, well,
nothing
then
should
just
mess
go.
with
Just be a chaos gremlin. Plant the determinants right next to
that.
the
I'm done now.
indeterminates.
I'm gonna be. It'll probably be complete chaos. Like I've done a cattle panels on the back side of the raised beds so that anything that climbs, I can put against the cattle panel. And then
Nice.
yeah, I have sort of a plan in place. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So I had to ask, I've seen the wolves on your Instagram a couple times, and I wanted to ask some questions about them. They live with you, right?
Yeah, yeah, they do.
So,
There's,
um,
I
they're
live outside. They don't live
Right.
inside.
So those are a different type of animal to keep. I hesitate to call them pets. But livestock doesn't really seem to apply either. I assume they have a lot of special demands. Could you could you kind of tell me a little bit about how you got into keeping wolves and what special demands they have over other animals a person might keep?
Sure, sure. So first of all, they are considered domesticated animals. They're not really like they're definitely not livestock, I guess. But I just call them dogs. Like they are. They're dogs to me. They're just more intense dogs. That's all.
Right, yeah.
Like their behaviors are the same as your dog because dogs come from wolves. The the behaviors are just more intense and they haven't been bred to want to please human beings like dogs have, right? So that's probably the biggest difference between having a dog and having a wolf. They're kind of like cats, so they're independent, right? They're not going to work for you unless you convince them they want to work for you. They're not going to do anything for you unless you convince them that it has to be their choice. It's not like a
Right.
dog.
Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. I have four cats, so that
So you know how cats are kind of like they'll take you or leave you. Like they're okay either way. That's how a wolf is. They're okay either way. Like they're happy to see me, and in 5 minutes they're like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm gonna go over here and lay down now. So
that's interesting. So they're much larger than dogs, correct?
well, they're much larger than most dogs, but they're not larger than all dogs. Like Great Danes are much larger than a wolf.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for that size comparison. That's actually helpful.
Yeah, a lot of people think wolves are like really huge, but they're not. They're longer and taller usually than dogs, but the average weight of a wolf is 100 pounds. Like that's a pretty average weight.
Oh, okay. So very large dog, but not the largest dog.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, like some wolves can be smaller and some wolves can be bigger, but average, I would say between 90 and 110, pretty average for a wolf.
Okay. And do you keep obviously you keep them in their own enclosure. Does that enclosure have to be especially reinforced because of them being wolves and not dogs? Does it require special types of fencing or reinforced posts, kind of like cattle or
Yep. So I use uh, if you were gonna use like chain link fencing, you can't use like the 11 gauge or whatever it is. You have to use like a 9 gauge chain link fence,
Okay.
or you can use like cattle panels, which is way bigger gauge. It's like a 4 gauge or a 6 gauge. I don't know, but they can chew through regular chain link, and they can even do a number on 9 gauge chain link. So yes, you do have to have sturdy stuff when you're doing fencing, and then of course they can climb. Mine don't, but there are ones that will climb. So you have to have taller walls or a lean in so they can't climb out. And then they will also dig. So you have to have dig guards, which is basically just fencing that lays across the top of the ground or under the ground that you put dirt over. You can do that too. And it attaches to the walls, like so they can't get out. And some people actually electrify their fencing depending on the animal. So if you have an animal that's like insistent on getting out of its enclosure,
right.
some people have to go as far as electrifying their fencing. I don't. My animals don't climb. So
I always have one chicken that's an escape artist. I know it's not the same thing, but as far as like I'll think I have everything secure. I've got the plants blocking the short part of the fence and she'll still get out whenever she wants
yeah.
to.
Yeah. So the goal is like if you're gonna have animals like wolves or wolf dogs, the goal is to build that fencing very secure the very first time because once they start figuring out they can get out, that's when you're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, and
So if
I'm
you
and the chickens is a little less dangerous. The chicken, it's more for its own safety that I'm caging it up rather than everybody else's.
right, right, right. yeah. So knock on wood, I've never had an escape. Like, hopefully I never do. Those are those things I don't like saying out loud. Same thing about the bugs. But yeah, but it wouldn't be just my animals would be in danger because people here would shoot them or they could get hit by a car.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't know
that's
how to.
true. Yeah.
So it goes both ways with my animals, right? So, but also my animals would kill somebody's dog, they would kill somebody's cat, they would kill whatever runs in front of them, they'll kill it. So,
Right.
it goes both ways as far as that goes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Bagseed Chronicles, Maine Girl. Would you like to say anything to the audience before you leave?
I don't think so. I mean, you can find me on Instagram, MaineGirlGrows. You can find me in the Dominion Seed Company Discord. And if you're all going to the DGC Cup, I will see you there.
All right. So look for her at all those great places. I will see you next time, Maine Girl Grows. Thank you for being on. And everyone, thank you for listening. Let's overgrow the world.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. Thank you for listening to the Bagseed Chronicles. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend.
It's Top Wisdom. S&T Records, let's get it. Zecca on the beat. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm gonna get lit, take another fat rip off this bomb shit. Can't get enough of it, yes. Hitting the best feeling.